Statistics, Modeling, and Finance. Chapter 1, Statistics, page 26, Variables. Graphic analysis can be employed to study the relationships between two variables. Let's start with the definition of a variable. A variable is defined as, in statistics, a characteristic or attribute of an item, service, or individual that can change from observation to observation. For example, improved living area is a characteristic of a house that can change with each observation. A dependent variable is defined as the variable being estimated, outcome, or response variable in a predictive model, such as a multiple linear regression equation. There may or may not be a cause and effect relationship between two variables. Plotting the two variables on a scatter diagram and then employing graphic analysis will determine if the two are, in fact, related. First, see if there is any relationship at all, and if so, how strong the relationship is. Graphic analysis can reveal relationships between any two factors. We are going to restrict ourselves to relationships in appraisal applications. The dependent variable will almost always be price or rent. The independent variable could be something such as size in square feet, number of bedrooms, number of garage spaces, etc. A scatter diagram can reveal how much the price of a property is affected by its size or the number of bedrooms, if at all. End of page. Page 27. Price/rent relationship. Scatter diagrams. With a scatter diagram, we plot two variables on a graph. Then we study the pattern to see if there is a relationship. Here we have plotted data for 10 house sales. We have entered dots where the price on the vertical axis intersects the monthly rent on the horizontal axis. For example, the first dot on the left represents a property that was rented for $900 and sold for $84,000. Sales price versus rent level. On the low end of the sales price is $75,000. On the high end is $130,000. On the horizon part of the sales price versus rent level of monthly rent is $850, and on the high end it's $1,150. Looking at the chart reveals a strong relationship between the two variables. This should be no surprise to appraisers. The gross rent multiplier methodology is based on the premise that there is a relationship between price and rent. The more a property can command in rent, the more value it should have. Scatter diagrams reveal relationships if the data that is plotted forms a pattern or trend line that moves upward and to the right. The first bullet hole shows $900 and around $84,000 sale price. The next shows probably $960 in monthly rent and around $86,000 in sales price. The next is around $965 monthly rent and a sales price of around $96,000. The next bullet hole is around $970 in monthly rent and the sales price of $91,000, all the way up to $1,100 in monthly rent and a sales price of around $121,000 in sales price. End of page. Page 28, trend line. Trend is defined as a series of related changes brought about by a chain of causes and effects. Trends are forecast through economic-based analysis, statistical analysis, market analysis, and analysis of economic indicators and surveys. Next, I have plotted a linear trend line that best represents the trend of the data. A perfect correlation would be a line that falls exactly on every point. For every increase in rent, there would be a corresponding and proportionate increase in value. As we know, the real estate market is not perfect. So it is no surprise that the sample of 10 sales does not form a perfect pattern, but it's pretty conclusive evidence that according to this sample, in this market, prices and rents move in the same direction. Sales price versus rent level. On the low end of the monthly rent is $850 a month, and on the high end, it's $1,150 a month. On the sales price, the low end is $75,000 and the high end is $130,000. Here it shows. Later we will discuss how to plot that trend line. It shows the bullet point go down towards the line, and then they all kind of follow that pattern. End of page.